You may have heard the saying, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. And in this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter, we're going to break down if there is any scientific validity behind that folklore. Meteorologist John Burchfield here. Great to have you with us. Whether you're joining in online, on YouTube, on WTOL 11+, we send the latest climate-related information each and every week straight to your inbox. And you can subscribe at WTOL.com/email. So in like a lion, out like a lamb. Is there any validity to that? And also, what can you expect for this March? We're going to be breaking down the forecast for this March and what we're expecting for the first weekend of the month and beyond, and also explore that old folklore and what the numbers suggest about March weather and if it really does come in like a roaring lion. Now, March is a month of change. Oftentimes it starts off feeling more like wintertime and ending more like spring, and we see some rapid changes and big fluctuations from start to finish. Our March 1st average high temperature is 42 degrees. Certainly not quite as cold as the harshest days of winter, but definitely not feeling like spring either. By the end of the month, we see some sizable increases in temperature, and we rise up to 55 degrees, and that is just from March 1st to March 31st. In the span of the month, we rise 13 full degrees from start to end, feeling more like spring by the end of March at 55 degrees. Now, let's talk about some more lamb-like weather or tame, mild weather that we felt during the month of March. The all-time record for March high temperatures is 85 degrees, and that title is shared between March 21st and March 22nd, that historic year of 2012 that brought us incredible warmth not only during the spring but also the summer. That is the record for the warmest March temperature. Now, on the other hand, March can bring some Arctic cold temperatures as well. The coldest temperature ever recorded in March was in 1948, March 12th. The mercury plunged to -10, and that really goes to show the polarity that March can bring, from summertime warmth to a very harsh wintry setting. So let's talk about the in like a lion part of that folklore, starting things off with March 1st. What kind of weather has March 1st brought us in recent years? Well, overwhelmingly, March has started off warmer than average in recent years, and part of that is linked to climate change as we see an overall warming trend in early spring weather and late winter conditions. Last year, our March 1st temperature was 49 degrees. Certainly not overly warm, but still well above average. 2023, we started off the month of March with a 60-degree temperature reading. We were close to the all-time record for March 1st on that day. Another warm one in 2022 at 50 degrees. The last time we even were at a normal temperature was in 2021, where the month of March started off right on 42 degrees. And even that is still seasonable for March 1st. And if we go back to 2020, another mild one with a 49-degree temperature reading. In other words, 4 of the last 5 March 1st have been milder than average. So in like a lion, well, the latest data in recent years does not really support that part of the statement. So what about the all-time records? The warmest March has ever started off was in 1997 at 65 degrees. So we came close a few years ago at 60, but fell just shy of that record. 64 is the March 2nd record, and we start to creep up to March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That is where we start to feel some incredibly warm temperatures for early on in the season that are feeling more like balmy spring conditions. And some of those did occur in recent years. You may remember 2024, we hit 78 degrees on March 4th. And looking at the March 5th record, that is another recent one at 2022. Now, even though climate change does suggest that the overall trend is warming, we do see some records that are over a century old, including that March 2nd record. That was from 1882. We have over a century and a half of weather data at the Toledo area. Now, the coldest early March days, well, the flip side goes to show that sometimes March can really come in like a roaring lion. March 1st has never gotten below 0, but we have logged a 2-degree temperature. The March 2nd record is -5, and that is also the March 3rd record. Here's a recent one, 2014, March 4th at -4 degrees, and that was a historic winter as well. Not only our snowiest winter on record, but also we saw some incredibly cold temperatures, including that -4 degree reading, and March 5th, -1 degree. So even though March can start off warm sometimes, it can also be incredibly cold on the other end of the spectrum. Now, the last time we had any meaningful rain or snow was in 2018 in the start of March, because lion-like weather not just a matter of temperatures, but can also be measured in terms of precipitation. This was a notable March 1st because we started off the month with a historic snowfall amount and also rainfall, 1.62 inches of liquid, and that included 1 inch of snowfall that kicked off the month of March. Now, that is also the most rainfall that we have ever logged on a March 1st, and this time of year is really known for its flooding and heavy rain, but that takes the cake as the rainiest start to March on record in 2018. And not only did we see the rain, but we also saw snow that year. And speaking of snow, early March snowfall not out of the question by any means. March 1st of 2015 was the snowiest March 1st on record with over 4 inches of snow accumulation. So that's the in like a lion part. What about the out like a lamb? Let's start to talk March 31st weather conditions and how past years have fared. Now keep in mind, by March 31st, our normal high temp is up to 55 degrees. Last March 31st was actually colder than average at only 50 degrees. We were just a little bit above average in 2023 at 62, a very balmy end to March in 2022 at 71, fairly close to normal in 2021 at 58 degrees, and we were well below average March 31st of 2020, only 44 degrees. There's quite a bit of volatility and up and down in this March 31st weather. So even though most of the Marches of recent memory have started off mild, they haven't always ended super mild, especially when compared to that 55-degree average. So out like a lamb, it's a mixed bag as far as March 31st high temperatures go. Now, what about the warmest on record? Well, March can certainly end with some summertime warmth. March 31st of 1943, that is the warmest ever last day of March, and we hit 80 degrees. It wasn't the warmest ever March day, but in terms of March 31st, the warmest we've ever recorded. Now, March can really bring a lot of year-to-year variation. 1943, just the year before, in 1942, that was historic for a very different reason. It was the most snowfall ever recorded on the final day of March, with 3 inches of accumulation. And that certainly goes to show that March can be a weather wild card. Amazing that one year we saw 80-degree temperatures, and the year before, 3 inches of snow accumulation. So what about snowfall? Well, March snowfall certainly does happen. It starts to become less and less common, and when we do see snow this time of year, it tends to melt off a little sooner. Our winter seasonal snowfall is just at a hair over 11 inches, and now that puts us at over 19 inches below average. Normally through today's date, if you're watching this on Friday, we've seen over 30 inches of snow accumulation, and it's very unlikely that we will make up this deficit this season. The last 3 winters have hardly brought us any snowfall, and if you add up the last 3 winters, this winter, 23 to 24 and 22 to 23, all 3 combined are equivalent to about 1 season's worth of snow. So we are well below average in the snowfall department, and I'm not thinking we're going to make up on that deficit. Now, even though March does start off a bit chillier for the weekend, the long-range trend, we are starting to notice some above-average temperatures build across the upper Midwest and the northern plains, and that could potentially creep into our area. But at the very least, it's looking like a seasonable weather pattern that'll bring a lot of days in the 40s and an occasional day in the 30s or the 50s. As we head into the month of March, a lot of ups and downs in the spring weather headed our way. So if you subscribe to the Climate Friday newsletter, again, it's WTOL.com/email. We'll send the latest content straight to your inbox, and you can also follow along on social media. In the meantime, we will see you next Friday. Take care.